If I want to be free, I've got to be me. I heard that quote many, many years ago from Bob Proctor. It's one of his probably famous, well-known quotes, well, at least I think it is anyway. And when I heard it, it really, really resonated with me. The full quote is, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me that you think I should be, not the me that my partner or family thinks I should be, and not the me that society thinks I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. So I better work out who me is. And I think I may have heard that quote 10, 15 years ago. I first saw Bob Proctor on that program, The Secret, and he was just one of the people that I resonated with, so I started to study a lot of his material. So actually it could have even been about 20 years ago or thereabouts, quite a long time ago. And I'll be honest with you, back then I didn't know who me was at all. I was basically sort of living my life. I was never false. I was always being true to myself. I used to say, what you see is what you get. But at the same time, I was always very aware of, well, you need to be professional. You need to look a certain way, act a certain way, dress a certain way, and then have all the sort of status things. And as a man, I can only speak as a man, it was things like, you must make sure that you're dressed well for your job. You must make sure you're groomed really well. Don't do this, make sure you do this. And obviously there's certain facets of society where you need to make sure that you're kind of following these societal rules. You want to be a good person, for example. You don't want to break the law and everything else. But about being yourself. Now, I used to do a lot of real estate photography many, many years ago. And I used to always wear dressy jeans and good shirts from a company. I used to spend about $100 per shirt, just so I looked professional and not completely corporate, but corporate enough. Professional to go out there and work around these real estate agents. And you know what? It never felt like me. It never ever felt like me. And I got so used to wearing that I would always just wear jeans and a shirt if I went out, for example. And yet there was always this burning passion inside me for something else. Now, a big thing about me is I love music. I play guitar, I used to play drums. I grew up listening to a lot of 60s music, but then the 90s rock came out when I was in high school. And I fell in love with bands such as The Living End, Green Day, Blink-182, Sum 41, and a lot of that wonderful 1990s music. And it sparked this sort of thing inside me, this attitude or whatever it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. But I started to want to do things like color my hair, grow my hair out. Back in school, I used to do the short back and sides. That's what my parents wanted me to look like. That's what boys looked like when we were young. And I didn't want that. So I started to color my hair. I got my ears pierced. I even got my eyebrow pierced. You can still slightly see the scar, but I did that because I wanted to. And the more I sort of embraced my passion for music and for punk rock music, I just started to be more true to myself. And that's now led me to things such as I wear tartan trousers or punk rock trousers. I wear things like bangles and so forth. I wore necklaces. I even put some makeup on every now and again. I got my eyebrows done this morning. Now I do that because I enjoy it. And it's all about being me. And for years and years, I used to be scared. I used to live in fear of judgment, of, well, what if people judge me? What if people look at me funny? What if people talk behind my back? What if I don't get opportunities? What if they don't take me seriously? And what I realized, through experience I might add, is that those things happened anyway. If I wore jeans and a shirt and I looked really professional, I got judged for it. I got judged in a big way for it. They pigeonholed me into a certain way. If I acted a certain way or tried to sort of match a level, I got judged anyway. So embracing who is now me, I get judged anyway. But these days, I laugh it off. But anyway, I thought that we would explore this whole concept of, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Take a few through points, and hopefully this resonates with you as well, which hopefully makes you inspired to start to work out who you are and live as your true self. So first of all, most people spend their entire lives playing roles. The employee, the friend, the partner, the family member, whatever it might be. And we do these because it's like, oh, well, that's what we're supposed to do. As an employee, for example, I'm meant to look a certain way, I'm meant to act a certain way. And don't get me wrong, if you're a professional in any field, you have to be professional. But there's a big difference between being a professional worker and adopting a stereotypical professional attitude. Because what I've found, especially in my field with photography and video production, that's what I've made my career in, is when I've embraced myself and my own style and my own level of professionalism and creativity, that has given me my own level of professionalism. People accept the way that I walk and talk and dress because they know that my work ethic is really good. And that's really important. So when it comes to the roles of being a professional, you don't need to assimilate to the role. Be yourself, be authentic. There's nothing worse than dealing with somebody that you can just tell they're not authentic, they're hiding behind that. Classic example, years ago I was dating this girl, very briefly I might add, and she was pretty, we got along very well with each other, but she couldn't switch off from being the professional woman. How she was in business was basically how she was away from business. She couldn't let people see her as anything other than a professional, level-headed person, which means she never let her hair down, she couldn't laugh, she couldn't let loose and just really just have some fun. And that was such a shame because she was always playing this role. And I think the underlying thing there was fear of judgment. So if that resonates with you, hopefully you can start to just release that, because when you start to embrace who you are as a person, your morals, your thoughts and so forth, people will either accept you or they won't. And right now, whatever role you're playing, you're either being accepted or you're not. So if you become true to who you are, nothing changes. You'll find that the people who accept you and love you will stay around, and the people who don't will just move forward. Now, as an aside, it's getting windy over here. There's wind chimes all around me, so I do apologize for the background tones. So this brings me to my next point about ourselves, which is freedom comes from being authentic rather than seeking approval. If we're seeking approval, if we're seeking validation, we're trying to fit in, we're never going to feel free because we're putting on a role, we're putting on that hat. Once you fully embrace just being yourself and doing what you want to do and not doing what you don't want to do, that's when freedom comes. And it's freedom not so much as in, oh my God, I'm free. I suppose mental freedom as such. Now here's another example from my life. Years and years and years ago, I would go out to a party or out with friends, for example, and I'd be the designated driver. And I'd go there knowing I was the designated driver. We'd spent hours there. It wasn't really my jam. I didn't want to be there. I wasn't really having a lot of fun. But I kept saying to myself, well, I'm here with some friends and they're enjoying themselves and I'm their transportation home. And that didn't make me feel any better at all. It was only when I basically embraced the whole thing of, no, that's not who I am. That's not what I want. And authentically, I was saying, I don't want to go to these parties. I don't want to be the driver. Suddenly, that all changed. Same thing with the way I dress. When I started to adopt my authentic self as far as how I want to look, how I walk, how I act and so forth, people accept it. It's amazing. We do live in fear of judgment so often about, well, what would people think if I did what I truly want to do? And this comes down to everything from a job you might want to explore. It could be a passion you want to explore. It could be something so out of left field. Like you might want to explore, bungee jumping or skydiving or whatever it might be. But you may find that you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't express that because what if people judge me for it? Or what if people, oh, you can't do that. And the same thing comes down to things like setting goals, sexuality, the whole thing. We do live in fear of judgment. And unfortunately, after a while, other people's voices and all that noise becomes our own internal noise, and we start to think that way ourselves. So it is a bit difficult, but once again, if I want to be free, I've got to be me and explore what I want to do, how I want to do it, and the way I want to do it. So essentially, and this is my next point, many of our struggles in life come from trying to live somebody else's script as such. Now, if you look at society, there's this whole thing of go to school, get an education, get a qualification, get a job, find a partner, get married, buy a house, have kids, work until you retire, do what you want, and then die. That is sort of the script of society as such. But why do we have to live by that particular script? If it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. When I was younger, I always used to say to people, you know what, I want to have kids, I want to have at least one kid when I grow up, get married and have one kid. And one day I realized I don't want kids. I knew that the true me didn't want to have kids, and there's different reasons for that. That could be a subject of another video. But I used to lie to myself, and I know that if I had ever had kids, I know I'd be miserable. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that there'd be satisfaction in being a parent as such, but I would also know that deep down I never wanted kids. I've let relationships go before because I've been honest. You know, I've said, I don't want to have children. And if the woman I'm talking to wants to have children, I understand that. Listen, it's best if we don't date anymore, or it's best if we don't escalate this to a relationship, because I need to be true to myself and authentic. If I was living a lie, I could get married and have kids, and I could be 50, 60 years old and be miserable for all I know. You know, so embracing that part of me and being true to me has saved me from a life that I may not have wanted, I may have been very unhappy with. There's all these things in my life that I've done that I may not have had a chance to do because of having to afford a family, afford clothing, afford education, afford everything, schools and so forth. That's expensive. That could have really stopped me from having the life that I want. So being me and being true to me has given me avenues in my life that I want. If I had had kids, I never would have had that. So once again, that's breaking away from the script from society, the script from people. So it is very important to be so true to yourself. And if you're off script with society, who cares? If anything, you should embrace that and be happy about it because you are being true to yourself. You're not the drone going through the stereotypical stages in life. So big tip there, do not follow the script. Write your own script. But be warned, doing that often disappoints many people. You're going to find that once you become true to yourself and you live the way you want to live, people are going to start telling you that you're wrong. Oh, how dare you think that way? You shouldn't act that way. You shouldn't dress that way. You shouldn't talk that way. Oh, I wouldn't go after that. And it's because most people, 90% of society, buy into the script, the normality of society. And it's also because they fear judgment. And in some ways, it's not that they have got a problem with you doing it, or resent you for doing it, or judging you. If anything, they're looking at you and saying, well, I couldn't do it, I didn't do it, so therefore you shouldn't do it too. Now, some people may admire you from afar, but if they talk to you about that, they are few and far between. But most people who warn you about things or tell you stop doing this and how dare you be so selfish for not getting married, not having kids, or following your passions, well, it comes from their own experiences, their own judgment, their own sadness, whatever it might be. So do not listen to the disappointments. If anything, when they come into your life, embrace them, because that's when you know you're being authentic to yourself. As I said, so long as you're a good person, so long as you're not being dishonest, so long as you're not screwing people over, people are going to judge you anyway. As I've said before, they're going to judge you anyway. You are going to disappoint a lot of people. You might disappoint your family, your parents. You might not live up to their expectations, but that's okay. My parents, I'm not too sure what they wanted me to do, but I know that through my life, they've seen me struggle to get where I want to go, and there's been ups and downs. But now, in my mid-40s, I've achieved so many things. I've made a feature film, which you can find the link down below, The Party Bus. I hope you enjoy it. I've done some incredible jobs. I've worked in television, I've worked in film. I moved to the UK. I've had a great career over there. I've made it my own self-career as a photographer. And it's now, after 20 odd years, or 25, 30 years, whatever it's been, my parents can see my trajectory and they are proud of what I've achieved. And they say to me now, wow, you never listened to people when they said you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, and don't act like this and don't dress that way. If you'd done that, you wouldn't have achieved all those things. So it's been a rocky road, but staying true to myself has led me to far more happiness in my life, absolutely in my life. So I hope that by writing your own script, it does the same for you. But just be warned, there will be disappointments, just don't buy into it. I think the main point I'm making here is you are never going to find happiness within yourself if you're trying to be somebody else. So, for example, if you want to be a rock star and you idolize somebody like Bon Jovi, for example, you might grow your hair out, you might try to match their vocal range, you might try to write in their style. The unfortunate thing is, you will never be Bon Jovi, because Bon Jovi is Bon Jovi. I've always loved Green Day. I think that Billie Joe Armstrong is incredible. But I'm not Billy Joe Armstrong, just as much as Billy Joe Armstrong isn't me. So trying to be somebody else is going to lead to you feeling flat and depressed and never satisfied. You're going to be up and down. You're going to go through self-esteem issues. You're going to have lack of belief in yourself because you're always going to be judging yourself to the person or the people that you wish you were or that you're trying to be like. Now, I think it's healthy to take aspects of people's personalities, whether that be a movie character or somebody from a band or a celebrity or just somebody that you admire in your life, and adopt a trait of theirs into you to sort of become who you want to be. I've certainly done that. But don't try to be somebody else. If you're trying to be a different person, trying to be a different character, you're never going to be happy. So the real question is not who should I become? It's who am I beneath all the labels and everything else that we throw around in society. So as we said at the very beginning, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. So I need to spend time to work out who me is. Work out the foods you like, work out the environments you like, work out where you want to live, work out how you want to dress, how you want to be, your personality. Be absolutely true to yourself, because being something else will ultimately never make you happy. I've tried it, and trust me, it has led to times where I've regretted it. I really have. But at least I've taken myself out of that situation and I've become more true to myself. And as I said, this could be anything. It could be exploring anything in your life. Anything in your life. Just be true to yourself. Your parents may not understand, your partner may not understand, your work colleagues, society may not understand. But so long as you understand, you know who you are, you're being true to yourself. And the best thing is, and I did mention this before, the best thing is when you're being true to yourself, you will find your tribe. You will find the people who resonate with you, who support you, who uplift you. You're going to find people who are similar to you. You're going to find more friends, more opportunities, more social circles. Yeah, you're going to have to let certain things go. You're going to have to let go of maybe some family members, some friendship connections. You may need to leave organizations or a job. But it's okay, because when you are true to yourself, you will find more of your purpose, and everything that's meant to be for you will gravitate towards you. I know that. It's happened to me, and it will continue to happen to me. So my final thought is, if I lose the approval of people who like the version of me that they thought they could control in some ways, then it's not a loss. It's not a loss. Let them walk away, wish them well. They're going to be who they want to be. You can be who you want to be. So just to reiterate, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Leave me a comment below now. Are you living your true life? Are you being true to yourself? Have you ever heard the comment before, if I want to be free, I've got to be me? Just whatever it is, write down below. I'd love to hear from you. Or are you fearful? I used to be. Many, many years ago, I used to really be fearful of judgment. It's one of the biggest fears in life. But overcoming the fear has led me to explore so many different things in my life, from everything from careers to the way I dress to things I do. The young version of me never would have done it. So are you living in fear? Have you stepped out of that comfort zone, or are you still there? Whatever it might be, I'd love to hear from you. And while you're leaving a comment, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well. So until next time, I'm Jonathan. This has been Identity Crisis, and I'll see you next time.